All you ever hear about online is meta this and meta that for different weapons in Call of Duty, and although I've tried out a couple of these meta loadouts, I decided, you know who I haven't consulted yet on the meta situation? ChatGPT. I know, what could ChatGPT possibly know about the Call of Duty meta? I don't know, but I asked ChatGPT anyway to create for me 4 meta loadouts in Black Ops 6 for the SMG class weapons, and today we'll be testing out each ChatGPT meta to determine if it's good or just pure garbage. So let's just get right into it. Alright, so according to ChatGPT, this first meta is for a versatile aggressor, whatever that means, and uses the Jackal PDW as the base weapon. We're supposed to attach a suppressor for the muzzle so we can conceal our firing on the minimap, long barrel for the barrel to extend the damage range, vertical foregrip for the undergrip to improve recoil control, quick draw grip for the rear grip to increase the speed of our ADSing, and extended mag 1 to add more ammo, obviously. There's also the infiltrator stock for the stock. Now for the perks, it says to use Ghost to stay hidden from enemy UAVs, fast hands for quicker weapon swaps and reloads, and then double time to extend our tac sprint duration. Our lethal should be the Semtex, and then tactical is the flashbang. It says to use the trophy system for neutralizing incoming explosives as well. Now ChatGPT says that this loadout is best for people who are more aggressive in their gameplay style, so you can maintain stealth but also attack with full force and power. And now let's try it out in a game. For the purposes of this experiment, I decided to use Stakeout and then another random map I get shuffled to in the quick play shuffle playlist thingy. We will establish Stakeout as our control group, or whatever the hell the term is supposed to be. The Jackal PDW is quite a powerful weapon in its base form, and I also have this cool blueprint that makes it fancy or something. I know there's a blinking eye on it. In any case, I have switched out whatever attachments I originally had on with ChatGPT's, and my experience has been a bit of a mixed bag, to say the least. Firstly, the suppressor doesn't feel like it makes much sense with this build. I feel like it's hindering the loadout quite a bit. I mean, the other attachments like the long barrel and the vertical foregrip aren't bad, but I feel like there's some attachments that are definitely on the better side of the spectrum in terms of performance. On Stakeout, I found that I was getting outgunned more than usual with this build. At first, I chalked it up to me just, not being used to it, but after trying to convince myself of that false narrative for like 10 minutes, I quickly realized that the loadout is just kinda mid. In any case, what about the other components? Perk-wise, it's not too bad. I don't really see the issue with the stuff that ChatGPT picked. For the most part, you're gonna kind of see this throughout the loadouts, but Ninja's fine, fast hands is pretty good, double time is just one I usually equip anyways because I like that it increases your tac sprint duration. It just helps to have some speed until you run into some enemy face to face and it becomes a battle of trying to figure out where the enemy's bouncing around suddenly, especially if they're a melee player. As for the tactical, the flashbang isn't a terrible choice. I usually equip the stim shot because with a faster playstyle, I feel like you're bound to get shot at more often, so having a stim is a good tool to get out of a rough situation quickly, but I didn't really find myself missing it too much with the flashbang slash Semtex sort of combo. But aside from the extras that nobody cares about, the important thing we need to be asking ourselves is this the meta for the Jackal PDW? No. It's not the worst, but it's definitely not a meta or anything like that in my opinion. I didn't like it much, to tell you the truth. Moving on to the next loadout. Next up is the C9 loadout that ChatGPT describes as the balanced operator. It tells us that the C9 offers a balance between mobility and control, suitable for various combat scenarios, in that wording exactly. The muzzle will be the compensator to reduce vertical recoil, the barrel is the long barrel to increase the range of our damage, vertical foregrip for the underbarrel which will enhance recoil stabilization, ergonomic grip for the rear grip to improve ADS speed and mobility, recoil springs for the fire mod to further reduce recoil. The perks will be Ghost, then Tracker to see enemy footprints, and then Vigilance to get alerts when you're on enemy mini-maps. Equipment is the exact same, and as tempted as I am to change these, I will not because I'm staying true to my initial word that I never gave, which is to let ChatGPT do everything. Trophy system for the field upgrade. Anyways, ChatGPT says that this is a great loadout for players who flip between aggressive pushes and holding positions, offering flexibility in engagements. Well, let's find out if ChatGPT knows what it's yapping about or not. The C9 is the first SMG I got to gold because I like this one. It's basically just the MP5, but Call of Duty won't call it that, so C9 it is. The C9 is fast, it's reliable, it's powerful, but can ChatGPT make an absolute meta for it? Well, I mean, maybe? I don't know. The attachments at face value don't look too bad. I initially thought I was going to have a rough time with this one because it's not the loadout that I usually run for, but the more I gave it a chance, the more I found that my overall impressions of this ChatGPT meta is that it's actually pretty good. I was doing well on every map I loaded into with this gun, and I found that my recoil was actually down and that this was much easier than I expected it to be. In fact, I even did well on Hacienda, which is a map I absolutely despise. Like, I do not like this map, and I did well on it, so that should tell you something. Like, this is actually a pretty good loadout. I think the damage rate is good. If you concentrate your aim well, this thing can actually shred. I don't know if this would be considered a meta for most people, but to me, this was surprisingly one of the best loadouts I've used for the C9. I even found the use of the flashbang and the Semtex to be much better than the other options, as I was able to secure my position and get some kills all the same. So do I approve of this ChatGPT meta? Yes. Yes, I do. The KSV, why on earth did it pick this weapon of all weapons? Anyways, let's do this. I don't like the KSV, but I have to do it. I just gotta grit my teeth and get through this. The attachments are as follows, and boy, there's a lot. Compensator for the muzzle to mitigate vertical recoil, reinforced barrel for the barrel to boost damage range and bullet velocity, vertical foregrip for the underbarrel, flip mag for the magazine, quick draw grip for the rear grip, balanced stock for the stock, tactical laser to improve hip fire accuracy, and recoil springs for the fire mods. So usually on the KSV, I would always put an optic, and I'm pretty sure it was the Prismatech Reflex in the short I made once. The thing is, I almost always include some sort of optic, and like ChatGPT included none on a single SMG. It had no optics in the metas that it made. So, I mean, I don't know, with the KSV, I kind of was just like, I found it easier with the optics, so we're gonna have to like find out if this is gonna be a disaster or not. And the equipment is the same as like everything else. This time though, we are using the Assault Pack to provide extra ammo. ChatGPT says that this loadout is for players who prefer precision and control, allowing for effective engagements at various ranges. You know, I don't know if I agree with that just yet, but I won't knock it till I try it, you know what I mean? Alright, just like some general notes about the KSV, in general, it's a pretty powerful gun at close ranges, but it falters pretty quickly at long distances, and in general, it just takes a lot more bullets to get a kill in, and I am not the biggest fan of this SMG. I think it does get better with the attachments, it's more tolerable in that sort of situation. Sure, like every gun gets better with the attachments, but this is one of those like instances where in its base form, it's just too annoying to deal with. Now the KSV loadout that I made and I posted a short about, I mentioned that just a little bit ago, that one was easy to use. I found I got to gold in a couple of matches on Stakeout. I didn't really find it that complicated. It took just a little more to get to max level. I'd already gotten gold before that point. But either way, I put together this loadout that ChatGPT suggested, and it definitely has a look to it. You know, it's quite a look. The magazine is like huge. It just looks a little out of place. It's kind of funny to me. So in any case, I put everything together. I, equipped the perks, loaded into a few rounds, and I can actually say that I'm shocked at how good this one is. I know it looks ridiculous on the outside, but this is a loadout that is definitely a don't knock it till you try it sort of situation. I should ask ChatGPT about Warzone metas too. I'm sure it'll have some fantastic insight on that. I might make a video on that too, who knows. But in any case, I found that this was a great loadout for more aggressive play with a lot of movement involved. You can get in shots faster, the recoil isn't too bad, and it's actually quite a speedy gun. I don't know if I would particularly call this the ultimate meta, but in terms of what ChatGPT gave me to work with so far, it's actually not too bad. It was good in more close quarter ranges though. Like I said, the KSV in general is not really a sort of gun I would expect to perform well in long distance fights. So sometimes in Stakeout, when you're standing across that hallway, there's like snipers on the other side. It's a little bit harder to actually get your kill in unless you're like standing in a way behind the door, kind of that wall with the door. You got to stand in a way that where you're concealed. I don't know. It's a little bit complicated at longer distances, but I thought that the lack of an optic was going to hinder the performance of this gun, but honestly it didn't. Now, if you want more precision, meaning you want more headshots, then I would say maybe you want to equip an optic if you're going to be dealing with a little bit like slightly long distances, but at close range, you're probably safe with getting headshots without an optic, but that's just something to keep in mind. I don't know if I would call this a meta like I said, but it's not actually that bad. Alright, for the Tanto. I don't honestly know how I'm supposed to say this. I'm just gonna say Tanto because it just looks like it would be called that. ChatGPT says we should add the compensator for the muzzle to improve vertical recoil control and aid in accuracy during sustained fire. We should also equip the long barrel to extend the damage range. The underbarrel is the vertical foregrip to enhance recoil control. The magazine is the flip mag for a faster reload speed. The stock is the balanced stock to increase movement speed while aiming. The perks are tactical mask to protect against flashbangs and stuns, tracker to spot enemy footprints to flank and ambush effectively, and Ninja for silent movement for undetected rotations. We also need the proximity mine to control choke points and smoke grenades for stealthy plays. It also says we should use the dead silence field upgrade. In general, I can honestly say that this loadout surprised me. I'm not the biggest fan of the Tanto because of its slower firing rate. I don't usually like guns that are a little slow, but the attachments that I was able to put on this gun were actually really good. I found that this one did make a difference, and I like the attachments on this version of the Tanto much more than the one provided in the battle pass. I think I'll definitely actually stick with this one in my standard gameplay loop. It was also much easier to get headshots, so that was surprising, and like, you know, I'm trying to get the camos on this one currently. So would I say that this is a meta for the Tanto? It's not too bad. I may have to play around with the gun a bit more to determine this for sure. So I would say it's not the meta, but it's like close. It's not too bad. I'd probably add my own rear grip and maybe fire mod later on as I play around with this loadout. But for the most part, this one's actually pretty solid. So I do actually recommend if you're trying to grind the Tanto to try, you know, this one or a variant of it. So overall, is ChatGPT good at making meta loadouts for Call of Duty Black Ops 6? Yeah, it's actually not that bad. Do I necessarily recommend asking ChatGPT for help in figuring out the meta in Black Ops 6? I don't know. I feel like playing around with the attachments on your own will help you find your own meta, but is it a good source of guidance or to serve as a stepping stone? Yeah, it's not too bad. And we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe with notifications set to all so you never miss out on a single upload. Share this video as well, and comment below which one of these loadouts sounds like the best, and if any of them are what you would consider to be a meta, because I'm kind of interested to see what everyone else thinks. And that's all for today, folks.
Enemy RCXD. Neutralized RCXD. Eyes on enemy mine. Hostile concussion spotted.